Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 243, Idiot Survivor Makes Some Noise, begins with Kenjaku and Fumihiko Takaba posing together. Kenjaku's grinning and Takaba is grimacing. No longer rivals, they are now the comedy duo Pinchan. Entry number 297 for this year's C1. Two men walk out onto the stage together. The crowd is roaring and clapping, over the moon to see these comedic titans live. Takaba tries to thank them for their loyal support, but Kenjaku interrupts him to ask if he's free this Wednesday. Takaba is outraged at Kenjaku for interrupting their introduction, but agrees to help. He's down for anything that's not helping Kenjaku move. As soon as he says that, Kenjaku waves him off. Takaba, insulted, asks if all he wanted was free manual labor. Kenjaku just goes tisk at him. With that bit of their routine done, the two finally introduce themselves. Kenjaku refers to them as Pinch and Chance, hence their name as a team being Pinchan. Takaba tries to correct his partner giving their actual names, but moves past it, just addressing the audience with a cheery greeting. It is time for the comedy to really begin. Takaba asks Kenjaku if he's heard about the story of Momotaro, the legendary boy who came from a peach. Kenjaku, the 1,000-year-old sorcerer, is disgusted by this, swearing that he hasn't. Takaba doesn't buy that though. Momotaro is one of the most famous folktales in Japan. Parents tell their kids about it when they're little. Once that's pointed out, Kenjaku breaks down into tears, putting a hand over his mouth. He admits that he really hasn't heard the Momotaro story. He grew up with a single mom who never had time for him. Takaba looks nervous after having brought that up, apologizing to Kenjaku. Kenjaku gets more upset at the apology, complaining that he had a happy childhood and his mom read all kinds of stories to him. And now he's even claiming that Momotaro was his favorite. Takaba, annoyed, asks why his partner lied. Kenjaku's back to talking about how his mom was always so busy, so he just wanted sympathy. Takaba's annoyed at this, calling out Kenjaku for making the mood hostile. Kenjaku glares at him, annoyed. Takaba's still mad about the tisk from earlier. Kenjaku does it again, then acts like he doesn't know what he's talking about. One of the judges grins as the two keep bickering. Kenjaku continues acting like the ignorant guy, calling himself a moron who couldn't appreciate fine literature. And then he turns in an instant, throwing out a fan theory. Maybe Momotaro was the biological son of the old couple from the story. They could have eaten the magic peaches, been rejuvenated, and conceived Momotaro. Takaba's stunned at Kenjaku suddenly deciding he knows about Momotaro, but he's willing to consider the idea. A part of me wonders if Kenjaku read Momotaro to Yuji when he was a baby. Back in a kooky mood, Kenjaku yells that since he's dumb, he should probably get some first-hand experience, so he's off to slay some demons. Takaba complains about the sudden bit, but rolls with it, giving his grandson Momotaro some kibidango. Kenjaku, doing his best bratty teen impression, tries to turn them down, but Takaba insists. The next judge is laughing hard as Kenjaku and Takaba keep going through their Momotaro routine. Momo insults his grandmother, but wishes her a good long life before heading off on his quest. First up, Kenjaku mimes finding a golden retriever. Takaba tries to get him to make it a Japanese dog, but Kenjaku isn't listening. He acts out eating one of the dango, almost feeding one to the dog before looking at Takaba. Is it safe to feed dango to dogs? The two swiftly agreed that it isn't. Now Kenjaku decides that this version of Momotaro is set in the modern day, and the dog has a collar with a phone number. Takaba tries to insist that it is too off for Momotaro, the ancient myth, but Kenjaku is busy getting friendly with the dog owner. They consider heading off to return the dog. They're supposed to be off slaying demons, but maybe they can get out of that. Kenjaku checks his phone and finds the demon's lair on Yelp. And the demons only have a 2.1 star rating. Takaba tries to insist that they can't trust reviews, but Kenjaku's already trying to cancel their demon slaying reservation. However, there is a cancellation fee. So Kenjaku has a new plan. Send Momotaro's other companions. The monkey and the pheasant go on ahead. Takaba objects, pointing out that they shouldn't split the party. That's just going to get the monkey and pheasant beaten up. But Kenjaku's already thought this through. His plan is simple: air superiority. Takaba doesn't get it. What can the pheasant do? Poop on them? And yeah, that's Kenjaku's plan. Even Takaba's calling this grade school logic. But rather than doubling down, Kenjaku tries to start taking this seriously. Do they worry the dog's owner or sacrifice the lives of the monkey and pheasant? Takaba insists that it's pretty obvious they're supposed to choose to save the animals. But Kenjaku's got the opposite idea. They're going to kill the pheasant. Takaba, shocked, asks why. Because to Kenjaku, worrying about an anxious pet owner would be very unpheasant. Takaba runs with the one-liner, claiming that they've got the whole crowd laughing. But rather than keep their act going, Kenjaku glances to his partner. For the first time since he got up on the stage, he's serious. Is Takaba okay? The comedian claims he is, but he's looking nervous. He's just realized that this moment is about to end. It's the show he always dreamed of. All lights, all cameras, focused on the two of them. Takaba admits that he was a failed comedian, but right here and now, he's happy at the entire audience. Even these fangirls with signs asking Ken-kun to take those stitches off. They're all making this great. He doesn't want this show to end. Takaba starts to cry on stage, insisting that he doesn't want this moment to ever be over. Kenjaku, as smooth as silk, just tells him not to cry. It'll spoil the mood, and gives his partner a gentle pat on the chest for reassurance. And that is enough. That is how Fumihiko Takaba dies happy. The grand C1 stage fades around them. He didn't want to go on living after finally achieving his dream. He's just laying there at Kenjaku's feet, changed into a departed spirit's white robe, totally peaceful. Takaba looks up at Kenjaku one last time, thanking his perfect partner for the chance to perform together. Kenjaku is quiet, struggling to know what to say, but when he finds the words, he's actually kind. Takaba was extremely funny. Kenjaku really enjoyed being his comedy partner, but he is not going to have time to savor the moment though. Out of nowhere, Yuta Okkotsu appears behind Kenjaku, hands already on his blade. The ancient sorcerer turns to face Yuta, trying to use a reversal of anti-gravity to lock the young sword sorcerer in place. But Kenjaku is much too late. Yuta charges past Kenjaku with a classic Iai Jutsu drawing slice, slashing through the sorcerer. As his neck starts to bleed, Kenjaku curses at his own mistake. Yuta's got a massive amount of cursed energy. Kenjaku had set up a ton of precautions to keep an eye on the other sorcerers. The cursed spirit sentries track the volume of cursed energy in the colonies. They transmit visual data to Kenjaku. How could Yuta, the guy with so much overwhelming power, surprise him like this? But then he realizes, even as his head falls away from his body, it was Takaba. He didn't want to have his last performance interrupted, so he kept the two of them sealed away from the world while it was all going on. Yuta walks over to Kenjaku's decapitated body, sword still out. Even now, Kenjaku's curious. Did Jujutsu High plan this ambush all along? Yuta confirms that, yeah, this was all worked out. Takaba's not the kind of guy who would kill people. They needed someone to provide him backup and strike the killing blow. And this time, like a true Avenger, Yuta went for the head. Kenjaku's eyes are starting to close. He knows that he had almost managed to finally accomplish his objective. This was a shame, but he's not done yet. Kenjaku's eyes go wide as he declares that his will shall be inherited. And the decapitated head isn't bluffing. Even like this, he is still a threat. For a start, Kenjaku has cursed spirit manipulation. He can give one last order to any cursed spirit he has bound. He can order Tengen to continue killing Culling Game sorcerers and to begin the merger as soon as possible. If that's too complex, he can just turn his curses loose, trying to force an early end to the game. Or he could order the spirits to obey a chosen successor like Sukuna or Uraume. But inheriting will can mean something very different when you're a body-stealing brain thing. There is a very powerful fresh corpse over in Shinjuku just waiting for Kenjaku to take him over. But Shinjuku is a long way off right now. Kenjaku probably isn't in any position to take over Gojo's body, but it's okay, he doesn't have to. That line about Takaba not killing people sure would be ironic if Kenjaku ended up stealing the comedian's body, huh? We spent an entire chapter showing off the crazy things comedian can do. Annihilating a special grade curse was just the start. Kenjaku with that kind of power would be terrifying. And he just had a whole fight with Takaba to learn how to use it. Kenjaku's villainy was always inspired by his curiosity and sense of humor. Making whatever he finds funny real, it would make the guy almost unbeatable. The one thing in his way is Yuta. He hasn't sheathed his sword after beheading Kenjaku. He knows that this fight is not over. He even put himself between the head and the two dead people, trying to make sure that the little brain doesn't just jump into them. Kenjaku won't be able to trick him. If he's going to get a new body, he needs to kill Yuta Okkotsu while just ahead. We've never seen Kenjaku forced to fight without Geto's extremely powerful cursed spirit manipulation. He usually just throws minions and Uzumaki blasts at his enemies, killing them with as little effort as he can get away with. But Kenjaku does have his own innate technique. That's how he jumps between bodies in the first place. He is also extremely good at reverse curse technique healing. it's how he restores the dead bodies he uses to life. Kenjaku should be able to fight even like this, but will that be enough to defeat Yuta, the guy who took down the original Suguru Geto? It is time to see if Kenjaku's really Jujutsu Kaisen's master villain or just Sukuna's opening act. Yuta definitely learned his lesson and went for the head, but he might have needed to go for the brain this time around. Whatever the case, we now have two goated main character fights coming up. Yuta versus Kenjaku, and Yuji versus Sukuna. The JJK hype is real, and I hope you guys stick around for all that is to come. As always, I'm /Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.